All right, before I call the meeting to order, would like to just remind those joining us on the Zoom, if you would please keep yourself muted until you're called on to speak. And for those who are joining us here in the council chambers, please silence your cell phones. All right. City of Glendale Planning and Architecture Review Commission is now in session. I'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. Mr. Smith, would you please call the roll?
Chairman Mayor Kennedy,
Here.
Commissioner Seligman,
Here.
Cohn,
Here.
Commissioner Story,
Here.
Commissioner Fernandez,
Here.
Commissioner Fernandez is here. Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. First item on the agenda is the adoption of the minutes of our last meeting held on February 6th. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes, please?
So
That's a
moved.
mistake. I think it's the March meeting.
Oh, correct.
Yeah.
Would have been March
Yep.
7th, probably, right?
March 11th, yeah.
March 11th?
Forgive me for the Scribner's error.
All right. Is it March 11th?
That's affirmative.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting?
Moved.
Thank you. Moved by Commissioner Story. Is there a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Fernandez. All right. Any corrections to the minutes? Any discussion? All right. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. We have a number of items in new business. The first one is a zoning text amendment. This is discussion and consideration of a proposed major or minor amendment to the development agreement at 4160 North Port Washington Road. And I will turn it over to Mr. Smith for his discussion and introduction of the topic.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bear with me for a moment. I'm doing double duty today. Okay. 4160 North Port Washington Road. This may be familiar to the commission and to listeners. This was recently rezoned to PD plan development. This was where Beer Line Crossing almost sold to the nonprofit, which originally wanted the PD, and then Beer Line Crossing wanted to finish the PD process as that initial deal fell through. Beer Line Crossing now has a new buyer who essentially wants the uses in the M1 district, but for the sake of being expeditious, we're gonna, the property owners petitioning the commission to change the development agreement to allow the uses in the M1 without doing the full rezoning process back from PD to the M1.
That would take probably 3 or 4 months to do as opposed to what could be 1 month and we're done.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so if it is the commission's will, or I guess the commission needs to determine if amending this PD development agreement, if it's a minor amendment, then this would go to the Common Council for approval. If the commission in its wisdom determines that this is a major amendment, then the full rezoning process, including public hearings, et cetera, would need to be undergone.
So question, everything around this property is already in M1, if I'm not mistaken, on the zoning map?
I believe that to be the case, yes.
Okay. So it's really not a huge departure. We would be determining essentially, without going through the process of rezoning it as an M1, we'd be saying, I would say a minor amendment that we would just incorporate all the M1 provisions into this development agreement.
Yeah, I believe that would be consistent with the area, and I should also add it's consistent with the 2040 comprehensive master plan.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from members of the commission? So what's before us now is the question, and that there is not a staff recommendation because we have to make this decision ourselves. Do we consider in changing this development agreement to just say that all the uses that are consistent with an M1 is a minor amendment? At which point we'd recommend it back to the Common Council. They'd get it next week at their meeting. Common Council would approve it and be done. Or do we believe that it is a major amendment and we'd have to go through the process? So I guess I'm open first to any conversation from members of the commission as to whether you assume, would rather, I guess, think it a minor amendment or a major amendment. Commissioner Cohen?
I would think at this point of all the things we've
Your
done.
mic's not on. Yeah.
I think with all the things we've done with this many times, I think a minor would just do enough for us.
Anyone else want to weigh in before we have a motion?
I guess, would it be something that they would consider going through that process once we put this minor, if we do put this minor adjustment in, then going through that process to rezone it to M1?
So it would not be rezoned to an M1. What we'd essentially be doing is amending the development agreement that we already have now with Beer Line Crossing to state, and rather than all the other uses that came before us, which I think were like a self-storage and a hub for the RNC police, command center, and a number of those things which we had approved as an EV repair facility. Those were all things we'd approved. Rather than all those uses that we had listed in the PD, all we would say is any uses that are in the M1 zoning classification are acceptable in this property. So we'd be taking essentially one paragraph out that had that bullet point of all the list of different potential uses and just substituting a couple of sentences that states that anything that's acceptable in an M1. I guess I'll weigh in. I am actually in agreement with Commissioner Cohn that this would be a minor amendment. I kind of alluded to that already in one of my earlier comments. I don't think it's a major amendment. I don't think we need to go through the full rezoning process. Unless somebody feels strongly about it being a major amendment and would like us to move through the process, I would be open to a motion that we would deem this a minor amendment and send it back to the Common Council with a recommendation to approve. You want to move it?
Motion to approve.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Cohn, seconded by Commissioner Fernandez. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, that's a motion to approve it as a minor amendment?
As a minor amendment and refer it back to the Common Council for approval.
Got it.
Yep. All right, all those in favor of sending this back to the Common Council with the recommendation that this is a minor amendment and the council should approve it, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Carries. Thank you. Next is item 4B, a zoning map amendment. And this is discussion, consideration, recommendation of a zoning map amendment by Doncha Holding Company for what we've affectionately referred to for 100 years as the Silver Spring House at 6655 North Green Bay Avenue. And I'll turn it back over to Mr. Smith for your recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, and I should say at the bottom here, it says contingent upon Common Council referral. The Common Council did receive it last night and did refer it to the Plan Commission today. So that's why the item is on the agenda, because we did it last night, but this meeting had to be noticed last week. So no, go ahead, Ken.
Yes, okay. So yeah, the Silver Spring House is a beloved local landmark, and it recently, within the past 6 months or so, had a new buyer, Dontail Holdings, and they proposed to substantially modify the interior of the building to basically create a dental spa. However, the current zoning for this parcel is R7 residential, which does not allow any businesses, and so a rezoning would be necessary for them to operate as a business. And so the owner is petitioning for the zoning change to B4, which would allow the sort of dental type uses that they are proposing. And I should also add, at the Common Council's meeting yesterday, they're also going to call for a public hearing as soon as practicable. And so the petitioner is requesting that we move forward as quickly as possible. If it's this body's will, you could issue a recommendation today to allow for the dental spa use. And meanwhile, let me also show you some pictures of what they propose.
While he's pulling those up, I'll just give a little bit of background. Our master plan map does not indicate this property to be a a business district. It is an R7 residential district in which the Silver Spring House or any future restaurant use would automatically be grandfathered in as a permissible use. It's a non-conforming use, but it would be a permissible use. So what is before us now is first changing the zoning map to indicate that this could become a business property. Then the second step is going to be to rezone it to a business district. I'm assuming. Is that correct, Mr. Smith?
On today's agenda is issuing a recommendation for, right now, what's on your agenda right now is issuing a recommendation for changing to B4, whether you recommend for or against that. And then the next item on the agenda is the business use for this dental spa business that Dontia Holdings is proposing.
So are we accomplishing both changing, because we have to change essentially the land use map as well as rezone? There's two steps. Are we doing both of those tonight?
So the comprehensive plan has this listed as commercial use, and so
Oh, it does already?
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
so that change isn't necessary.
Okay, got it. I just wanted to make sure there. I thought we
No
were doing
worries.
both. Oh, because it was in an R7 zoned R7 residential because everything around it is R7 residential. But in the land use plan, it was a commercial property because for 100 years it's been a commercial property.
I believe that to be the case. I wasn't here for that, but it's my
I wasn't here for
understanding.
that either. It was
Yeah.
100 years ago.
So, and I know there's
City wasn't
also been
here.
conversation of this area potentially being a downtown for Glendale, and so that would be consistent with that future goal.
Okay, got it. Thank you. All right, so you've pulled up the plans here?
Yes, so this is the parcel as it is, the survey. And as we speak right now, the owner has no plans on changing the exterior of the property. It would just be interior. They have no immediate plans to do anything with the rear of the parcel, although there may be some contaminated sediment there from the past. And I can just scroll down further and we just see a picture of the Silver Spring house as it is today. And so I'm open for any questions if this body has any. And I believe a representative of the buyer is also here if he would like to add anything.
All right, well, I'll open up to the commission. Are there any questions, first of all, from members of the commission? So just.
I
for
guess
clar-
I have one question.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just curious about like the spa part of the dental business.
I think it's two businesses, isn't it? That they would have a dental office on part of it and rent the other part out to be a spa? Wasn't that what was in the proposal?
So from what I've seen with some of the interior drawings, it would dental clients would also have access to a sauna and a hot tub, but they also want to use some of the space for yoga. And so there would be a variety of different uses within this same building. I guess conceptually, that's my understanding. I don't know if the representative of the business would like to elaborate further.
Hi, is it okay that I speak now?
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Otis Collins. I'm a representative of Dontia Holding Corp. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to review this application. It would only be one business. There wouldn't be any subleasing at all. There's also a second level, and there was some question about that during the application phase if we were going to sublease that. It would only be operated by one owner occupier, the owner, Dr. Sharon Warzala, who also owns and operates a dental office in Washington, D.C. The one in Washington, D.C. is the traditional dental office with 3 dental associates, oral surgeon and a hygienist, 6 operatories. But this one would be more boutique to fit the higher end clientele that she thinks she could serve in this area and also bring to the area. So she's open to just working to rehabilitate this property that's kind of been vacant for a little bit. She is very familiar with the area. She grew up in Cedarburg. and she owns property in Mequon where she's done something similar, taking a commercial property and turned it to residential. So this wouldn't be a first time thing for her. But generally she's just open to working with the city and the community.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. And we do appreciate the desire to maintain the historic nature of the building. While the interior may be fully renovated and look very modern, you know, the Silver Spring House is a local landmark, has been in its current location for just over 100 years. So maintaining that, the historic building, certainly the facade of it and the exterior of it is important to the city. So, all right, any questions from members of the commission? Yes, Commissioner Seligman.
This is a question for staff about what it means to be a Milwaukee County landmark. Are there any restrictions that are put on changes to buildings that are landmarked?
Thank you for the question, Commissioner. No, county landmark is purely an honorific, and so there are no legal restrictions on the property. Since Glendale is an incorporated municipality, such powers are within the realm of the city of Glendale and not Milwaukee County to regulate.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Commissioner Cohen, go ahead.
In a write-up, it says anticipated maximum users, 10 daily with 100 for special events. Can you classify what special events are?
Mr. Collins, could you elaborate? I was going off of the information provided.
I see this as one-off events where something similar to what we do in Washington, DC, where we have generally doctors, but also other business professionals come into the office and we offer CE where we, maybe bring in a supplier or someone who's trying to bring some new technology onto the market. Maybe we'll do it, once a quarter or maybe even less. Probably not even for the first year or so, 2 years until we, get everything up and running. But I just wanted to try to be as completely open in terms of what our vision was.
Another question for the staff regarding sauna, steam and so forth. Is there a requirement for licensing in a property like this for those?
From the city of Glendale, there is not. They'll still have to go through all of the permitting process from our building inspector, from the health department, et cetera. I'm not privy to the specifics on that, but if there will be an issue, the health department, the building inspector, et cetera, they'll be able to make sure that all of the proper state statutes, state codes, et cetera, will be upheld.
Licensure would. Any other questions? All right, well, we do have a recommendation from staff. The recommendation from staff is that we, so we're going to forego the public hearing at the Common Council level. So we would be essentially recommending this back to the Common Council for rezoning approval from an R7 residential to a B4 office research service business district. And then the Common Council will, last night, they heard it and they went ahead and directed staff to schedule a public hearing for the May 13th Common Council meeting. So this will come back to the council in May. The council will hold the public hearing, so there'll only be one, rather than one at the Plan Commission and one at the Common Council. So can we get a motion then to accept the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Thank you. Moved by Commissioner Story. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Cohn. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of recommending this back to the Common Council for rezoning approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next item, I don't know that we have to have additional discussion, but this is now for us to grant business approval for the same property and operate at Donsha Holding Company to operate at 6655 North Green Bay Avenue. So obviously subject to the rezoning being approved by the Common Council, they would have to also have the business use approval from the Planning and Architecture Review Commission. So does anybody have any additional questions they want to ask before we have a motion? Commissioner Cohn?
The only thing I did not see was any signing package or program. Will they be coming back to us for that?
Yeah, they'll be coming back. I'll have to review the code. Depending on the sign, it may just be staff permitting. I'll have to review the code. There are some exceptions where they will have to return, but in terms of, yeah, so, for signage, I believe it's just in the M1. There are some exceptions where they'll have to return to the commission, for signage. Otherwise, it'll most likely be at the staff level.
If it's replacing an existing sign with a new sign, I believe that's handled at the staff level. And then if it follows the appropriate signage for the zoning classification.
Yeah, and if they want to make any changes to the exterior of the building or any changes to the site plan, they will have to return to this body.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, then we do have a recommendation from staff that we approve the business use for Doncha Holding Company to operate the private dental office and spa at 6655 North Green Bay Avenue.
Moved.
Moved by Commissioner Cohn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Story. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Collins. Appreciate you joining us this evening.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to continue to work with you. Definitely like on the signage, even if it doesn't have to be approved by code, we'll definitely submit it just to get your feedback. And continue to, have a partnership hopefully going forward.
Thank you. And I would just say, given the historic nature of the building, any kind of innovative signing that looks like it fits in with a historic building would certainly be more to my liking. And I think to the neighbors as well, something that's flashy and doesn't fit the historic nature of that particular site, I think would probably draw more attention from neighbors. So just something to think about as you move forward with signing.
Thank you for that. I completely understand.
Yep. All right. Thank you. All right. The next item on the agenda is a discussion and consideration for a business use for Milwaukee Family Chiropractic to operate at 1811 West Silver Spring Drive. And I'll turn it back over to Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And so this address might be familiar to this body as the ownership of the 1811 West Silver Spring Drive property has sought to finish the PD planning process that began several years ago, predating my tenure with the city of Glendale. And so the first tenant that the ownership has is a chiropractor, and she has a business proposal right here, but it's essentially your standard chiropractic process. And the business owner is, I believe, present here. I don't know if she wishes to say anything, but I'm open for questions and perhaps would you like to come up and just introduce yourself? Okay.
I'll have you take a seat at the table here, and you'll have to speak directly into the mic. These mics are really tricky. You've probably noticed listening to some of us talk that if the mic, we veer a little bit away from it, it doesn't pick up our voices. So
Okay.
perfect.
Yeah, you can hear me.
Yeah.
I'm Dr. Brittany. I'm a chiropractor. I own Mech1 Family Chiropractic, and I just wanted to do kind of like a part-time business. I'm originally from Glendale, so I lived here, most of my life. Went to all the schools and everything, so it's kind of like a hometown. I wanted to do a clinic here.
Is that why there's only the 3 days of operation? Because I noticed it was limited hours. I think it was like 12 to 4 on like 3 days a week or something like that.
Yeah, because I'm still gonna be at Mech1 Family Chiropractic the other days. I worked at Shore Family Chiropractic for 5 years, and so some of the patients are traveling all the way to Mech1, and so they'd prefer like something a little bit more central. And of course, I know a lot of the people in the community from living here and my kids going to the schools for so many years. So
Okay.
I think you worked on me one time
yes, I did.
at the Shorewood
Yes,
location.
okay. I was like, she looks so familiar. That makes sense now.
All right. Any questions from members of the commission? Yeah, Commissioner Cohn.
I'm just curious. This is a brand new office.
Yeah.
Okay. Why didn't you call it Glendale Family Chiropractic instead of Milwaukee?
Yeah, I was originally trying to find, like, I like Glendale because it's safe, but I also, like, it's Milwaukee County. And so like for future, if I ever open like another location, like I could put it anywhere in Milwaukee County too. So I was kind of toying back and forth between the name, but, um, I don't know. I kind of just flipped the coin, but I'm thinking Milwaukee Family Chiropractic, yeah.
I kind of questioned all those car dealers. Lexus Milwaukee North, BMW of Milwaukee. I mean, they're all, they all call themselves Milwaukee. So, all right. Any other questions from members of the commission? All right. Well, we do have a staff recommendation that we approve a business use for Milwaukee Family Chiropractic to operate at 1811 West Silver Spring. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Story. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Fernandez. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Yep. All right, the next item is a site plan review for landscaping plan for Torah Academy of Milwaukee at 6800 North Green Bay Avenue. And I'll turn it back over to Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Torah Academy has been here in Glendale since 2007, and they wish to revise their landscaping plan, which dates to that time. And let me scroll. Oopsies. So the previous landscaping plan was difficult to maintain with the gravel and whatnot. And so you can see this 2010 photo shows the initial landscaping plan. You can see my cursor on the screen. Yeah. So this gravel portion has become overgrown. If you look at the 2022 landscaping, and the current landscaper has advised me that the original one was never fully implemented. And so the landscaper has some ideas to make the new landscaping plan a bit easier to maintain and increase the aesthetic. And so the landscaper is here, and he'll do a better job of presenting his product than I can. And so if he's interested in stepping forward.
Have someone in the waiting room to admit.
You'll have to log into the Zoom meeting. Make sure you keep your microphone and speakers and everything off, or we're going to get feedback. But then you can share your screen that way.
I think I just unplugged those two. Unless you have my whole presentation on there, we can zoom through it and I'll narrate.
Do you have something more than what was submitted in the packet?
No, I essentially was just gonna walk through the 3D. Oh, I can do that.
Okay, that'll be easier. And it looks like Chief Whitaker from the fire department has just joined the meeting, so we're gonna want to let him in. Yep, I think they're up next on the agenda, so. All right, so. You'll want to, yeah, you'll want to speak directly into the microphone when you speak. Otherwise, the folks on the Zoom can't hear you, and then the recording won't capture it either. So.
And could you both identify yourselves too for the record?
My name is Jim Hiller, Hiller.
And Bart Wagner with American Landscape.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, thank you much for this opportunity. Just by way of introduction, I'm the current president of Torah Academy of Milwaukee. I've been associated with the school for 20 years. I'm fortunate to have 7 children, 4 of which are young women, and all the women matriculated through the high school. Last June, our president, Nathaniel Hoffman, passed away from a serious bout with cancer. The school community and our West Side Orthodox community, most of Milwaukee, wanted to find an appropriate way to honor him and to remember him for the work that he did through the school for many years. Nathaniel was not a person who would have appreciated a banquet or a luncheon or some kind of program. He was a man of the world, so we wanted to think of some other way to really appropriately honor him. So if I can just take a minute to read 2 paragraphs, I think it'll summarize what I'm talking about. It says, in loving memory of Nathaniel Hoffman, we celebrate the profound passions that defined his life. Cherishing people. Nathaniel embodied the spirit of compassion, dedicated himself to family, friends, and community. As we gather to honor his legacy, we strive to emulate the warmth and generosity he extended to all. Embracing nature. Nathaniel found solace and joy in the natural world, particularly the vibrant tapestry of avian and landscaping wonders. His infectious enthusiasm for the beauty of our planet continues to inspire us, and we seek to reflect this appreciation in Nathaniel Hoffman Landscaping Garden, which is what we're putting together. Our plan is to have this project finished by American Landscape this June, which is the first year of his passing, with a appropriate celebration. So we're hoping that this landscaping will provide something for him to look down on, because this is what he did for TAM. Thank you.
Good evening, Bart Wagner with American Landscape. Going through this list of slides, I'm trying to remember what I left with you. I know I left a bunch of different. I have it in front of me. Essentially,
You're gonna need to speak it.
excuse me, we're essentially looking to improve the existing landscape. The previous plan was mostly implemented with some items left out, and landscape architect Aaron Schamberg, who is, I think he's in Baltimore. Was he a friend of?
Close family friend of the Hoffmans.
So he put a plan together that was multi-phased, and essentially the phases or the zones or the areas, there's 5 of them around the property. So the first screenshot you have here is just an overview of the entire property. We're looking to improve the bed that's on the right side of the screen. Ken, I think you had scrolled down a little bit. Scroll up one right there. So that area is known as the sign bed, or the welcome wall, So the signage for the school is on that wall. Right now, there are no plants there other than thistle. So we're going to get rid of those, amend the soil and replant with whatever's on the plan, which is decorative grasses, junipers, and some, I think some upright holly. Additionally, going around the school, there's some junipers by the windows to the right or to the left of that area. So I think if you scroll down to the next one, actually go back if you could. Thanks for bearing with me. All right, on the right side of that screen, you see the windows. There are junipers under there. Most of them are dead right now and or plowed over. So we're going to replace those and improve those. Also, in the center of the screen, we've got almost all new plantings along the front of the building. Again, everything follows the plan and the plant list that I provided to Ken originally when I
Should be included with this record.
Yeah, it should all be included in there. Additionally, there's just different zones around the campus. So if you want to scroll down, keep scrolling, all right, stop right there. So right now there is no patio. There's a couple of tables out there that they use occasionally. And then there's a crushed granite walkway that goes around the property. Again, it was brought up that walkway is fairly weedy. It's kind of hard to maintain. So what we were going to do is take that all out and just restore turf around the property, and then replace the walkway, which is currently crushed stone, from the parking lot to the side door on the west side, and then add a patio in that spot. So originally, the landscape architect had put a angular patio in there, just a giant rectangle. We threw another idea out there, which was earlier in the screenshots there, that has a curved version of the patio, just follows bed lines nicely and accommodates the same number of tables, is slightly smaller. And then we're looking at a walkway with Holland pavers and a running bond or similar pattern to get us from the side door to the parking lot and to the patio. Ken, if you can scroll down, okay, this spot right here just kind of shows the back of the property. Right now, there are weeds and overgrown grass and really not a whole lot else back there. There's a split rail fence to the north on the neighboring property. We would clean all that area up, plant new shrubs, edge and mulch, and then top dress and seed the turf where there's some missing turf right now. So looking back at this patio right now, off to the right, we just kind of filled in with the rendering, just some various plants. There's 2 areas on this plan where there are native plantings that would be going in, and the goal would be to have rolling bloom, seasonal interest, attract birds and butterflies. So they wanted to bring native plantings and wildlife, not large wildlife, but at least birds and butterflies and insects onto the property for interest. That shot right there has the curved patio that we would really prefer to do over the angular patio. Again, another shot of the curved patio. So there's a packet that the landscape architect provided, which we can kind of zoom through right here. There's a little bit of a rendering. If you want to keep going, Ken, to the next page. That is the original landscape plan with the zone map. And then if we keep going, each one of these zones he just detailed. So it has a listing of the plants which are in the back of the book. So we'll make it hard so you have to go through and figure out what each plant is. Hopefully you find that funny. In any case, there's the original rectangular patio on that zone on the last slide, if you want to go back. The original rectangular patio, which we were proposing to change out and do a curved patio with, again, the brick walkway. And then overall, we're looking to eliminate any of that crushed granite that we can, restore it to turf, and we would essentially be aerating, top dressing, and seeding all of the turf on the property and just restoring it so it's in great health, so it's nice and green. There's some areas where there's not great sunlight, so we're going to plant shade seed in the back and then put them on a great turf care program to bolster all of it and get it looking great from all angles and usable so that the students can walk on it.
Mr. Mayor, if I could add just one other item.
Yep, go right ahead.
Nathaniel spent most of his time, many hours of his time in his life, traveling through the United States, Central America, and South America in various trips, finding new birds, new plants, new trees. And he would send back pictures and film and narratives. We plan on having the education part of this program as well, having the students walk around the facility with parents, with teachers, calling in professionals to give classes, so on and so forth. So it's a social and educational and a landscaping project all in one.
It looks like a wonderful homage to his life and his mission. So, yeah. Any, do you have other things you wanted to add, or?
Yeah, just real quickly,
Okay.
from a logistics standpoint, most communities are concerned about this. We work in all of Southeast Wisconsin as one of the premier landscape providers, and construction time on this would be 2.8 weeks. Don't hold us to it, weather provided. So around 3 weeks or just under. All landscape traffic, staging, deliveries, equipment will stay on site in terms of it'll all happen in the parking lot. So if there's deliveries, they're going to the parking lot or some area on the turf on site. Nothing will be dumped on the street ever, and we'll be cleaning up on a daily basis. And there's not a lot of soil coming in or out. So at this point, I don't see any reason for erosion control measures because we're not changing any grades, and no planting beds are going to be torn up for more than a day and a half.
Commissioner Seligman?
Thank you. It looks like a beautiful plan. I would like to ask for a clarification about the what's intended for plantings south of the parking lot and west of the parking lot. I didn't quite understand that in your presentation. And the reason I ask is that I was in a very serious automobile accident on that, at that intersection that occurred in part. I was not at fault, but somebody came screaming down south faster than the speed limit and I did not see him and he T-boned us. And I am very concerned about the sight lines. So as I go through that intersection, I'm very conscious of what I can see. And if there's more trees that are going to go up there, then I'm going to be more nervous.
The areas that you're asking about, there's nothing new going in. We're just gonna fix some turf, make sure the mulch is top dressed. And if there's concerns about sightlines with existing plantings, we can talk about that with the maintenance.
So the, whatever, I had trouble understanding from the renderings and the old plan, what was going in there. So
Yeah,
thank you.
essentially the renderings, sorry to interrupt, the renderings are just existing plants-ish. I mean, some of these trees are stock trees that we dropped in there. They might not even be that big.
I just want to be able to see around the corner. So thank you. And it does
Agreed.
look like a beautiful plan. It's not a criticism of the plan. It's my anxiety
Oh,
about
yeah.
driving in Glendale now.
Just to add to that answer, we have many parents who carpool their girls to school right around that intersection. That's where the entrance is. And so we're very concerned ourselves about safety. So it'll be clear.
Thank you. My daughter actually walked over that intersection today as well. Makes me nervous. She's 17. She's 16. She should be able to, but makes me nervous anyway.
Any other questions from, yeah, Commissioner Story?
So did the former or the current to be removed gravel path, did that lead to anything or was it just a walk space in the back?
Walk space went around the back of the building and became overgrown and really unusable. And it's a great path for parents and teachers and students to walk back because we want to make it usable. It's also a nice place to have somebody make a donation for. I could give dollar amounts if you want, but
All right, any other questions from members of the commission? All right, so we do have a recommendation from staff. Scrolling to get to it. Okay. The recommendation from staff is that we approve the revised site plan as presented. So there weren't any other questions. I would entertain a motion to approve the landscaping site plan.
So moved.
Thank you. Moved by Commissioner Seligman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Story. Any further questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
all very much.
Thank you.
All right, and our final item for consideration this evening is site plan and architecture review regarding signage for the North Shore Fire and Rescue. That is under construction about 200 feet to our south. All right, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And so the North Shore Fire Department is proposing to have 5 signs on its property, 4 wall signs and that are paired sort of back to back, and then 1 monument sign. Come on, computer.
Big 82. We all know that it is Station 82.
Well, they wanted to emphasize that it's very similar to the Station 81 signage. And I'll show you what it'll look like. There's a future driveway, the Station 82 sign where it'll be very close to where the town of Milwaukee Town Hall is. And here's one rendering with the new monument sign surrounded by landscaping, and the 2 wall signs are on that, for lack of a better term, that pillar, 82 on either side of it. And then on the southwest corner of the building, which I'll show you in a moment. On both the south facing and the west facing corner, as you can see here, there will also be an 82. The 82s in each part of the building differ in size slightly, but they want to broadcast that they're Station 82. And on the monument sign that I glossed over, it'll also show that the North Shore Health Department is there, and representatives of the fire department are here if they'd like to add anything or just say hi.
All right, so I guess I'll open it up to questions from members of the commission. Commissioner Seligman?
I actually have questions about the 82s. So and then I have a subsequent question. My first question is, I don't understand intuitively why that's station number 82 when the North Shore Fire Department doesn't have 82 stations. I think it has half a dozen. And then I'd like to know what are the considerations for making that number so big on the building? Are there operational or safety reasons for having the number so large?
Sure. I'm Assistant Chief Dan Tyke, and I think Chief Whitaker is on the Zoom as well. So first question, the 82, we were initially, like many of the other municipal fire departments, individual numbers, like 1 through 5, we have 5 fire stations. But because we're doing a ton of work together as a county, we, through our shared services agreement, identified our battalion chief that's on duty is 8. And so all of our stations start with an 8. So station 81 is in Brown Deer, 82 is here, 83 is Shorewood, 84 is Whitefish Bay, and 85 is Bayside. And for example, Wauwatosa is battalion 5. So all of their stations are in the 50s. So albeit not, Greenfield is the highest, they're in the 90s. There are not 90 fire stations, but that's just the delineation for how we knew which municipality's fire department it was.
That's very helpful for me to understand. Thank you. And then why does the number need to be so big?
Yeah, so I think it was referred to as the column. We affectionately call it the wing wall because it's a wing that comes out from the building. That was something from the architect to sort of break up or identify that wall, and for sizing purposes, just to scale on that wing wall to the east. That was what he felt was appropriate sizing. Specifically the southwest and south side. As we've built the building, initially there was going to be some paint applied to create like a brown, and we modified the garage doors to turn them red. And so the thought is that brings some of the red color balance against the tan or beige walls of the building to sort of go with the doors. I don't know that there's any specific reason why they're that big. It was really similar to what other firehouses like Menominee Falls have done, similarly sized.
But it's not a safety reason.
It is not a safety reason.
All right, and then I have a question for staff, just about the fees. Does Glendale actually charge all these fees to other government agencies?
Normally they would, but there's an agreement where, because previous municipalities for the North Shore Fire Department have waived their fees, Glendale is likewise doing the same.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Commissioner Cohn?
On the last slide or the next slide showing the southwest corner, when you go east on Civic Drive, you can see that front sign that faces south. I don't understand why we're duplicating 2 signs on that same corner, which you can see them both at the same time going east.
Great question. So initially, in our plan, we only had the one facing south. Like I said, as we've built the building, there is that western portion is the maintenance bay, and it's substantially higher than the rest of the garage. And so we had a fair amount of beige wall. And so we were trying to come up with some signage to sort of aesthetically break that wall up or give it something on that west wall. And we talked about putting another like illuminated box sign similar to the monument sign that identified it as the fire and health department. And I guess really just for balance, the architect, we felt like balancing the 82s on either side looked better than putting a different box sign with our logos on it. But it was truly just to take that, the bottom portion of that taller portion of the beige wall and sort of put something up there to break up that space and make it a little more aesthetically pleasing as you drove east.
Okay. We have someone in the back. What's your? You need to speak into a microphone though, because we record our meetings, and if you're not speaking into a microphone, so you need to speak into the microphone.
Can you identify yourself as well, please?
Hi, yes, I'm Nancy Rice. I am a designer, graphic designer and art director. I'm just wondering, did the architect design that signage, or did you have a designer design?
The sign company had a designer do it. The sign company, we did multiple bids, and each one came back a little different. This is the bid that we're looking to take forward, and it's their designer.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other questions? All right, well, we do have a recommendation from staff. Give me just a moment here. It's scrolling back and forth here. All right. Recommendation is that we approve the signage proposal for the North Shore Fire and Rescue for the 5901 North Milwaukee River Parkway Station 82. So can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Story. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cohn. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, next item is just an announcement of our next meeting will be held in this chamber at 6 PM on Tuesday, May 7th. All right, Mr. Smith, do you have any announcements or anything for us? Anything we should know before we adjourn?
No announcements at this time.
All right, thank you. Would entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Cohn. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Fernandez. All those in favor of adjourning, aye.
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 Opposed? And adjourned.